Hi, my name is Raquel Ramirez Harrison, and for my speech today, the topic we will be covering is psychology's role in children's education. When you're working, do you ever think about when you were a child and all the many issues you thought you had to deal with? But looking back, those are trivial. Compared to adult issues such as taxes and careers, what we dealt with as kids were simply kid stuff, things that aren't as important. But in this speech, we are going to cover that those things that we view as kiddie issues can actually have long-lasting impacts into our adult lives, and that they are something that we need to take very seriously. So we are going to learn about those kiddie issues today and how we can help the next generation of kids deal with them. There are many ways in which kids learn, whether it be experience, read, or learned through a screen, all of which have their positive and negative impacts on a child's development and education. And because of this, we must look into the ways we can use this knowledge to better children's education. In this speech, we'll be covering 3 topics. We'll be just talking about technology and education, the impact of trauma on a child's education, and the impact of gender roles and how gender setup affects the classroom. We're going to talk about the impacts of each topic. The subjects we are covering are not new. They have been debated by schools in the past, and many of which are very relevant for today's climate. Specifically, we see that in technology with education and how schools are trying to find a balance that kids do not get overwhelmed with the amount of screen time. Or how schools have to look at the different environments in which kids are learning in their households and what we need to do to support these kids emotionally. And if separate schools based on gender could help lessen problems we see in the classroom, or if it will only create more. Firstly, finding balance with technology and education. Technology can be harmful, can be beneficial for the learning environment, but it can simultaneously be harmful for a young child's abstract thinking skills, as learning online limits the amount of tactile learning a child is exposed to. Motor skills are needed to maintain seated position, to sustain attention, and to manipulate tools and fully understand many concepts, as said by Miss Campbell, who is an OT. When kids are taught online, these motor skills are not fully developed and can cause problems in gross motor endurance and fine motor control with a variety of tools. Meaning, technology can be a useful resource, but it doesn't come without its cost of impacting motor skills of kids, which translates over to adult skills. So we need to remember to keep a focus on tactile learning when dealing with online learning as a way to limit the negative impacts of technology. And on the screen, that is a graph of the impact of technology on the brain. Secondly, the impact of childhood trauma. Adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs, are described as traumatic events that impact children's development in the brain. Examples include domestic violence, physical abuse, or the loss of a parent. This relates to education because, as mentioned, social issues can arise, and in school-age children, some trauma symptoms may include distraction, hyperactivity, or irritability, as stated by Porter Drum, who is a psychiatric discharge planner. This can prevent them from focusing and being able to fully focus on lessons. Through our understanding of the topic, we can be better equipped to aid children that are dealing with trauma by providing them with emotional support through the means of counselors and therapy. Again, here you can see the impact of abuse and trauma on the brain. Lastly, are single-sex schools the answer? If trauma and technology issues were not enough, there is one more hurdle to jump. Peer pressure. The question raised is, are single-sex classes better for child development? Benefits are speculated to be that females may have more opportunity to actively participate in same-gendered classes. Females in general may be more cooperative and more likely to pull up all classmates, in contrast with the competitive nature of males, as said by Ms. Porter-Drum, meaning that there are benefits to this method of schooling and could help aid the issue of girls being less likely to speak up in classes, which in turn would help build students and build people with more confidence to speak on their opinions and to trust in their abilities to speak well and to speak up. So I do believe that having the option of single-gendered classes could greatly benefit students. In conclusion, trauma, overexposure to technology, and basic peer influence are just some of these kiddie issues in our children's education. Schools need to create an environment in which kids feel less pressure and they feel safe. Humans are complex creatures. Therefore, everything has a psychological impact, but it is essential to examine the impact and severity of each factor to ensure children a strong education. Thank you very much. I will now be answering a couple questions. Why did I choose this topic? I chose this topic because children's education has always been very important to me, and finding ways that we can better teach kids has always been something that has been very crucial and important to me, and something that I deeply care about. What about the topic interested you? I wanted to see how the fields of psychology and education overlapped, because I knew there must be some sort of crossover there, but I wanted to know what exactly that was. What was something that I learned about my topic during this speech? One thing I learned was the extent of which technology impacts education. I did not realize that it was that far-reaching with the impact on motor skills and motor endurance. I didn't realize it was that far-reaching. So to me, that was something that I learned that I previously did not know. And the last question, how did I grow through this process? I grew through this process by being able to learn more about a field I'm passionate in, and specifically through the speech giving process, I learned how to give a more fluid speech that flows nicely and it makes sense. Thank you so much.